Hailey Reese, and I am so super excited about today's video. I only just realized that although we've been consistently doing these 31 days of Halloween, I have yet to post something from my haunted house series as one of the 31 days of Halloween. I have been keeping a really crazy story under wraps because it has to do with Halloween, and so I thought, you can't tell this story in July, you gotta wait until Halloween, and so today is the day you guys will finally get to hear it. If you're new to my channel though, hello, my name is Hailey, my family on here is the Reese's Pieces, and we would super love it if you do enjoy my videos that you join. But I mean, without further ado, let's just get straight into this because I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Also, very brief, quick little side note, you guys are getting 2 videos today, and in the second video that I post, I know a lot of you might wonder how that lip color is gonna look. I'm currently wearing it in this video, so that's kind of a plus. But anyways, let's get into this. My house was super haunted. You guys know this. I don't know if I've mentioned this fact before, but now I am. My grandma grew up babysitting a ton of kids. My grandma used to babysit a ton of kids. So although she watched me and my one cousin most of the time when I was grown up, before I was even born, she had babysat so many kids in this house. My grandma used to love babysitting. I think that she has the soft spot for kids that I have, and I think that that's where like my love for babysitting and my love for caring for kids comes from. It's probably from her. But she used to babysit, like I said, now I'm repeating myself, a ton of kids. That is where this story begins, but I want to kind of backtrack to a story prior to this that kind of ties into this story, and it all makes more sense. So my Uncle Mike, the one who you guys heard about the woman in white story where he was actually buried alive and all of that, that's the uncle I'm talking about. So at this particular point in time, my Uncle Mike was staying at the house with his wife, and they were downstairs sleeping in the downstairs back bedroom. Now the front room next to the stairs, I've shown you guys the floor layout before. It's like next to the laundry room, so to the left. Used to be a playroom at the time because my grandma was babysitting a ton of kids, so she had created like this big giant playroom for them. His wife gets up in the night to go to the bathroom, and as she's passing by the playroom, she sees a man rummaging through all of the toys who she swears was Mike. So she says, "Mike, what are you doing?" And Mike replies from the bedroom, "I'm trying to sleep." And she looks back and the man is gone. And she runs upstairs, she wakes up my grandma, she wakes up my grandpa, she tells them what happened, and she was too terrified to even go back downstairs. Like, she had known the house was haunted, she had known that all these things were happening. I think everyone in my family knows this house was haunted, and I think that almost everybody has had experiences upon staying in this house. But when you see it for yourself so upfront like that, and she truly thought that it was her husband, it gets a little bit freaky for people. So that is the man that was seen rummaging through the toys. Now flash forward to where I said our story begins. My grandma was babysitting a whole bunch of kids, and one of the little girls was playing down in the playroom with a couple of the other kids. She was a little bit older, so she was able to play downstairs without like direct supervision, and my grandma was upstairs fixing lunch. So she finishes fixing them lunch and she calls the kids upstairs, and they're all sitting around the table. And one of the little girls, the one that was downstairs, turns to my grandma and says, "The man in the playroom and his little boy want me to go with them to the laundry room and take me to a place where I could see the mermaids." So this little girl was obsessed with mermaids. She was really big on The Little Mermaid. It was like her favorite movie. She loved it, and so like her mystical creature that she loved so much was a mermaid. So at first my grandma doesn't think much of it. She's like, "Oh, that's nice." And then she realizes, hold on, a man in the basement and his son want to take me to the laundry room so they can take me to the place where I can see the mermaids. Well, my grandma knows that there is a portal and a vortex in the basement, and portals and vortexes can take you to different dimensions. So she just all of a sudden freezes up and she's like, "I'm sorry, what man in the basement?" So this started to freak her out, thinking that perhaps there was some sort of a spirit that wanted to take her into the other dimension. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but she was like, this is really, really strange. So she asked the little girl, like, have you seen this man often? And she says, he's always in the playroom with his little boy. Now this is when my grandma starts to kind of like put the connection between the fact that Mike's wife had seen a man rummaging through the toys in the playroom. Now the little girl is saying that there's a man and his son in the playroom who want to take her to go see mermaids. So my grandma's a little bit like, that is really, really strange. And so my grandma tells her, well, next time the man wants to take you to see the mermaids, you make sure you come upstairs and ask me if you can go first. And she's like, okay, I will. Now flash forward to a little bit later. It is Halloween day and my grandma is watching her because her parents were gonna come pick her up later. Now in this neighborhood, some of the kids would start to trick or treat like before the sun actually went down, just because they were really small and I guess they had early bedtime. So they would start at around 5 o'clock in this neighborhood. So at around 5 o'clock, my grandma still has a little girl there. Her parents were set to be picking her up very soon. The doorbell rings at the front of the house. And my grandma goes and answers the door, and it's a man and his little boy. And my grandma recognizes that the little boy is actually not dressed in a costume at all. He's just there with his hands out and he says, trick or treat. And the dad doesn't say anything either, he just stands there. So my grandma notes that a couple of things to do with this were a little bit strange. One, he's not in a costume. Two, he's holding his hands out like this, like trick or treat, rather than like with a pillowcase, which is what I used to use when I was a kid, or like a cute little trick or treating bag. No, he has his hands out like a beggar, like trick or treat. And so my grandma's like, oh, okay, yeah. So the little girl's next to her at this moment in time because I think she had thought that maybe it was her parents coming. So my grandma goes to go behind the door to grab the candy, where the candy was. And when she goes to come back around the door, they're gone. Nowhere in sight, not on the porch, not on the sidewalk, absolutely nowhere in sight. And my grandma looks outside and looks around, and the little girl looks back up at my grandma, you guys, and she says, so nonchalantly, well, that's the little boy and his daddy I play with in the playroom. So now my grandma's convinced that what people are seeing in the playroom must be a ghost coming from the portal or the vortex, because how in the heck do you just open up a door, see someone and their son standing there, go to get the candy for 1 second, turn back, and they're nowhere in sight? Like, even if they would have left or walked away, like, you would have seen them, like, they were nowhere in sight. And the little girl so nonchalantly just goes, maybe they went back to the playroom. Now, by the time I had grown up and was living there, that room wasn't actually the playroom at all. That room had become like my grandma's like room. I don't even know what she used it for. Like, she had like a TV in there. She had like her sewing stuff in there. It was kind of like her multi-purpose room next to the laundry room. But we kind of just made like the living room area our playroom. We had like our toys scattered everywhere, and then like also that library section. Like, we didn't have a specific like room as a playroom. So none of us ever saw the man and his little boy with the toys. But there were enough people that had that I thought that this would be kind of a cool spooky Halloween story, because it was just so strange that they went to trick or treat and then just disappeared. I can't even like keep track of how many different spirits occupied this house. Think about it, you guys. There's the man in the laundry room, there's the woman in white, now there's the man in the playroom, which I was just reminded of this story last week when I was talking with my grandma, and I was like, they want something from the haunted house series. Which story should I tell? And grandma goes, weren't you saving the Halloween one for around Halloween? You should share that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. And so I decided to come on here and share it with you guys. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of what the little girl said about them wanting to take her to see the mermaids? Do you think it's coincidental that like the vortex and the portal is said to be in the laundry room? And she said they wanted to take her to the laundry room to take her to where the mermaids are. I don't know. That sounds a little bit suspicious to me, and it sounds a little bit creepy to me. And to be entirely honest with you guys, I've been really considering doing a YouTube video on talking about truths behind scary movies, because I believe it's Insidious where the boy gets trapped in the other dimension and they have to like go there to get him. And I have spoken to a ton of people who are in the spiritual world who have said it was like one of the few scary movies that was so spot on to things that can really happen when it comes to like interdimensional traveling or like spirits or possession taking you to other worlds or other areas. So let me know if you guys want to see that. I can definitely do a video on like creepy backstories that are true behind Halloween movies. But regardless, that just kind of reminds me of that, and it a little bit freaks me out. Like, imagine the poor kid went missing and my grandma's like, oh, she's in the vortex, she's in the portal. She would definitely get locked up for like being insane or for kidnapping a kid, because I mean, kids don't disappear into portals. What did you guys think of today's story time? I don't know, I just really wanted to share this with you guys, and even though it's a little bit of a shorter story, I figured it could get us into the Halloween spirit and also start to introduce our haunted house series back onto the channel, because I feel like that series has been lacking a little bit since I've been diving into some other things. If you guys enjoyed today's video but you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button. I am posting every day for the month of October, so you don't want to miss when I upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart super happy when you guys do that, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.